What up, guys? Welcome into the Pacific Revision Hockey's #1 podcast. Yeah, I said it.
Wow.
Who is gonna prove me wrong?
I mean,
Nobody.
many
Cowards.
people, many people.
First off, I am Miguel. What up? Alongside me is my co-host Eric. Say hello, Eric.
Buenos dias. Do you know how many hockey podcasts there are? I don't know if
A lot.
I'll give us the upper echelon. I don't know if I'll give us the top of the
We're number
top. You know what I mean?
one.
Better than
Exactly. You can't
give
even
me a
name
Golden
one.
Knights one. Better
You
than
can't even
Sinbin?
name one. Yes.
Better than All the King's Men?
Oh,
Be-
easily.
better than Steve Dangle?
Oop.
Better than Puck Soup?
Definitely. More scoops too.
Uh One day, the day we break news on this podcast is the day I retire. Gonna
That'd be
walk into
amazing,
the
wouldn't it?
go out high.
I got
Ah,
some breaking news for you.
what do you got?
Golden Knights are pretty freaking good still.
They're fine.
9-2. They had last we spoke, they were 7-2, I want to say.
Yeah, they've won
They've
2 more games
they've
since then.
they've won two more games.
Who do they beat? Anybody good?
They beat Winnipeg, who is decent.
They're fine. Yeah.
Hullebuck put up 42 saves that game.
By
It
the way, can
was
we talk about that
ridiculous.
game?
Yes.
Because he cost you fantasy. That game lost you your fantasy hockey week.
If he wins, I win fantasy, right?
Yeah, and if they don't give Mark Stone that secondary assist, you also win
Oh,
fantasy.
I know, I know.
What an amazing week! Folks.
But I was there in person,
Yeah.
so and I was losing my mind because I was there with my brother, my broham. He's a season ticket member. I went with him.
Oh,
So
money bags.
the whole game, I was like, these last couple games, I'm like, Eichel has gotten significantly better every game, in my opinion. Getting to the level you expect him to be. You know what I mean? People
Yeah, after
forget
neck
this
surgery.
guy. People forget this guy was drafted after McDavid. Like, you know what I
I
mean?
don't think anyone forgets that. I think we constantly reminded about that all the time.
And people forget how good he is, and he's an all-star. But the whole game, you see him playing defense, skating back, making chances. The one thing that I think is gonna start clicking eventually is he makes these amazing passes, and it feels like the Golden Knights players are just not used to great passing. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that the Golden Knights talentless outside of Jack
You
Eichel.
know, a little bit. And so once they get used to his passing, because he passes it hard, because you want to, you got to get it there quick. You know what I mean? And a lot
Honestly,
of them
I get it.
can't seem to settle it right away to get a shot off. Either way, whole game, I'm like this. I was telling my brother, Eichel is gonna fucking score. He's scoring this game. We get to overtime. Before overtime starts, I look over at my brother. I'm like, "Hey, Eichel's been a dominant force. He's gonna score the game winner in overtime."
Let's
And
not
if he
forget
does,
that you also have Jack Eichel on your fantasy team.
I do. And if he does, he wins me fantasy, which didn't come true.
Nope.
And if he does, I told him like I'm buying a Jack Eichel jersey,
All right, how many Jack
which
Eichel jerseys do you have then? Because he
I have
scored.
none.
Wow.
I have none. But it's only because I want the reverse retro, which is currently sold out, so I can't pre-order it.
Good luck at getting that at market value now that it's sold out. Because
I mean, they're
at least
gonna
with
make more.
with the first
I
batch, they did one run and that was it.
did they?
They did.
I'll eventually get it at retail. I'm sure of it.
You
Because I'm
better
sure they're
hope
gonna
so.
go live on Adidas.com the day they release, and I might just
Maybe,
have to get it. I might just have to get it from Adidas.
maybe.
It's just
But
sold out through the Vegas team store.
I don't know if the pandemic has something to do with it because again, it was 2020 when the first
Yeah.
line of reverse retros came out. But they did one run, that was it. That was through the team stores, through Adidas, and through other spots. I would
Plus the
recommend looking at like
plus the team
cool hockey and
stores
signing up
the
their
team stores
notifications.
will have the jersey on release date. So my plan is to go on release
Maybe.
date. It's because I don't want it from Adidas.com because I want the official lettering. You know what I mean? Like they
I
don't
mean,
always use
yeah, but I mean
the same lettering.
the team store is also gonna just press it on though. Like, you should do what I
Oh
did
no,
and spend a obscene amount of money. Just ship it to the people who make the customizations for the team themselves.
Oh, on the Vegas team, so you have the option to either get the pressed on or like the stitched one. It takes longer and it's a little more expensive.
I'd go with that.
But either way, I will eventually get the reverse retro Ico jersey. You'll see me wearing it on here, glowing. I'll turn off the lights. I'll be glowing in here. So yeah, that happens, and then the next game they play against Washington Capitals. A very hurt Washington Capitals, but still Washington Capitals.
Yeah, they're fine.
Game once again goes into overtime, and once again Eichel just skating in circles, making everyone look stupid on Washington, waiting for the right opportunity. He cuts between Ovechkin and I forget who, and he nods to Shea Theodore like drive to the net. He goes, he does a little head nod to the net. Shea Theodore drives to the net, passes, lobs or however you want to how you say that?
A saucer pass?
Wait, saucer. Thank you. He sauces it over Ovi stick and whoever the other defenseman, whoever the defenseman was, stick right to Shea Theodore's stick, left, right, underneath the glove. That's a game winner for Shea
So how are
Theodore.
we feeling, Miguel? Because I feel like you're on cloud nine. Are these good wins? Because all you're telling me is that you won 2 overtime games, and if you lose those 2 overtime games, You're like, it's fine.
So so
Remember we had this problem with Florida when we were like, you know what, Florida pretty good, won the President's Trophy, and then you realize like a big chunk of their wins came in overtime.
you're right, and that's not a trend I want Vegas to follow because one, it's terrible for my heart. Two,
Yeah, but three
again
on
with
three is
Florida,
fun though. You got to be honest, 3-on-3 is fun.
you saw. I mean, 3-on-3 is the most fun, but you see what happened with Florida. Like, guess what? In the playoffs, there's no 3-on-3 hockey. You know what I mean?
5-on-5.
But the one thing that I do like specifically out of the Connor Hellebuck Winnipeg Jets game is in years past, and not just last year. I'm talking about since the beginning of time. Anytime Golden Knights ran into a hot goalie, they just gave up. You could see the team was like by the third, they'll be like, "We can't beat this guy." They lose, and they go to the presser and be like, "We just ran into a hot goalie. We just ran into a hot goalie." And after a while, it's all the same, and it's like it doesn't matter if you run to a cold or a hot goalie. You got to make these pucks. You got to win these games. So that was a big plus because they would have just rolled over and died in years past. They actually were able to overcome on the holes, made the goals, and won the game. First tied it and then won the game. So there's more faith. Again, I'm still standing where I said last week, where I'm happy, but I'm not like, oh yeah, we're back. Because it's still too early. And like I told you, remember what I said about this road trip? I need 3 wins. I need 6 points. I don't need 6 points by regulation, by overtime, losses and stuff. I need 3 wins, minimum 6 points. They got number 1, so we're headed in the right direction. We started off the road trip on the right note. They're currently in between first and second period for against the Senators, where they're up 3-1. We'll see how this one ends. Hopefully, it's another victory.
You know
They only
what,
have to get one
Vegas.
more into
You
the
know, let's
game.
just talk like it's over, Bingo. Wow, what a win for Vegas, 7-2. William Karlsson hat trick. Can you believe it?
Oh, like damn! I can't believe the Vegas Golden Knights blew that.
And
Can you believe it?
man, it was weird when Ottawa lost both their goalies, and then a backup, the emergency goalie had to come in, and then he got hurt, and then a mascot had to play. Crazy.
What a phenomenal overtime win!
Again,
What
another
a
overtime win.
terrible shootout loss.
He's gonna cover your bases.
Edit as needed.
I'm not editing this at all. It all stays in.
Edit to make it sound like the correct outcome.
I don't know. You know what I was thinking though?
We don't have editors yet?
Me, I'm the editor. I do all the work for free. I
Erick,
might add.
how you doing? I know Keynes won and then lost.
So I actually want to connect this to a little bit what you're saying about overtime, because the Kings have had one, I believe, one overtime game. Made it to the shootout, won the shootout. That's kind of been it. And I was looking at the standings today because I was like, I don't know. I feel like Los Angeles is kind of like just there. Like they've been fine. They're again miles ahead of what they started last year because last year they started like dog shit. So again, big improvement. Good job us. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I can't believe Seattle's ahead of us, but they're 5-4-2, so they've made it overtime twice. Get those 2 loser points in. Uh, and I'm looking at like teams with overtime losses, and very few don't have any yet. And LA is one of them who don't have any like overtime losses or just make it over. And I think that's been kind of the big difference in where they're at in the standings right now compared to everybody else. Um, it, they're still inconsistent a lot of bit. You know, I was gonna cut them a break a little bit, but I'm gonna say no, and it's for different reasons. So they won against the St. Louis Blues. They blew them out 5-1. You love to see it. They didn't let them get back in it like that game against Winnipeg, but they also had wins against Toronto and Tampa during that time frame. So you know, you beat 3 teams that were in the playoffs last year and 1 team that made the final, and won the cups 2 out of 3 years. Pretty good. I honestly didn't have a lot of big hopes and dreams going into that homestand with Winnipeg, Tampa, and Toronto, but they took 4 of 6,
Two,
and they should
or
have maybe won all 3 if they, I don't know, didn't make self-inflicting mistakes against Winnipeg. And you don't want to say that because they lost the game at the end of the day. Like if you lose the game, you don't deserve to win. So I don't want to make it seem like they let it go. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then they go on the road, first game of the road trip, a banger against St. Louis 5-1. They don't let them get back in it. They're up 5-1 heading into the second, and then you get the exact third period you want. It's boring. It's out of hand. Nothing really happens. And against Dallas, they basically played. They looked tired. They looked tired, and then it was a last minute lineup change where they had to go 11 forward, 7 defensemen. Which, you know, it's fine if you're ahead and you can kind of play it defensively, but they were behind that whole game. They tied it real quick, but then they were behind the whole game and trying to press for a win. It's only having 11 forwards is kind of tricky, so I'm not going to say anything. But Kevin Fiala got moved down to the third line. Another person you have in fantasy.
I know
And what
he's
did I
been
say? I said
terrible.
I know you said it was bad, but it's kind of worked out. The chemistry's there with Grundstrom and Kupari, who they called up recently from Ontario. So it's there. It's just finding their fucking rhythm. I think it's frustrating when they'll play 2 games, get blown out, blow someone out, get blown out again. And it's kind of been the entire start to this year. They haven't been able to go streaking that much. They've had a 3-game win streak at the start of the year, lost, and then gave that up real quick with another 3-game losing streak. So we'll see. Like I'm not worried. I think going into this morning, Miguel, was Vegas playing as well as they have, 9-2. Edmonton playing as well as they have, 7-3. Although holy shit, their defense is bad, and I did not
Yeah, I
expect
mean,
them. I did not expect them to go to Skinner over Campbell real quick, but that's what they've done. Seattle's,
this just shows you
yeah.
once again, Oilers ain't gonna do shit in the playoffs this year. It's super early, but
But
unless they can get a goal, until they get a goalie or defense, it's just not happening.
do you want to hear the fucking absurdity that is Connor McDavid?
Yes,
11 goals in 10 games.
crazy.
It's on pace for 90 goals in an 82 game season. He's not gonna reach it. But the fact that he's already starting off hot, 2 hat tricks already to begin with. Leon Draisaitl is as dominant as ever. Like they do have to, I think, kind of risk the biscuit and kind of do the opposite of what Ken Holland's done to give up some of those first and the futures and have someone come in, someone be an additional game chamber. They got a free one from Kane because of that whole situation with San Jose and stuff like that. But
Yeah, and then no
they've
one
been
wanted to touch him. Yeah,
yeah, they've done stuff in free agency, but the last thing that they've been committed to do is giving up stuff from either their roster or their prospect pool or their draft picks. And you have to
look,
go for it if you're them. Have to.
because their window is closing. Like, I'm not saying it's closing in a year or two, but it's not as wide open as
You're
when.
wasting time.
Yeah,
They're wasting time. And I think you have a lot of good pieces in there. Yeah, the defense, I don't trust it. Like Tyson Berry, Cody Cece, Brett Kulak, like sure, I guess. Philip
But in
Broberg
the
is it?
playoffs, you're not gonna have these 7-4, 6-5 victories. You know
Well,
what I
you
mean?
say that, and that's exactly what they had against Calgary and 1 or 2 games against Colorado. They also blew us out in the first round for 2 games, 7-3 and 7-1. So it is possible for them to outscore the
But they
Province.
also they got a goalie that got hot at the right time, and it still wasn't enough. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it was goalies like a goalie getting hot, whether it's them just the offense was so good.
No, it was the goalie getting hot.
Mike Smith was average though. He was average
That's
and he
all
was
they needed.
No, he was average and he was unreliable. They
I
shouldn't
mean,
have
he was at the end,
they shouldn't
but
have had as much trouble against LA as they did, but they did.
it was good.
They took care of Calgary because they outpossessed her ass and Markstrom couldn't make a save. And then they met up with fucking Colorado, who's a fucking beast and juggernaut, and could match them. And they got swept when Colorado's playing their backup. So I mean, it's not like Colorado had a big advantage in it either. But like at the end of the day, you have McDavid and Draisaitl, so you should go for it. And I'm not really sure what that piece is out there, but I'm pretty sure they can find it because even Tampa, when they were trying to figure out how to build their roster around that core that you knew had a lot of talent but was missing something and got, won the most points in the regular season and then immediately got swept by Columbus in the first round.
Yeah.
They were able to get pieces, trade for Blake Coleman, you know, uh, trade for Barkley Goodrow and create that third line that was arguably their best line in both cup runs, that third line that they had. And like I look at the depth and I have the same problem with Vegas where I look at their third and fourth line and I'm like, it's fine, but does it help the top six? Does it help unburden McDavid and Draisaitl? Does it help unburden Jack Eichel and the misfit line? Because
For Vegas, they have, but I can't speak to the Oilers.
well, I'm saying like in the long, like in the playoffs, because
Yeah, 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 for sure.
you need those weird fucking moments, and you've seen it like within playoff runs where like Arturi Lehkonen is not a guy who's in a superstar, but he's an important piece that does cool things. Yanni Gord for Tampa, like et cetera, et cetera. Like it becomes a thing of like, can you find good pieces? And I think Vegas has to buy also at the deadline because they have some depth issues. Like you said it yourself, like one injury and you're like,
So, I
oh
mean, right
boy.
now, I wouldn't even say rumors because it's not a rumor because a rumor implies that it's something that's actually happening or might happen. This is more of what people are, I guess, Vegas media and Vegas people are putting into the atmosphere, into the ozone. I don't know what you want to call it, but
Into the ether.
into the ether. Thank you, Eric. This is why we make
Fucking good with words, man.
good co-hosts.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I didn't go to college. I'm sorry,
I did go to college.
but
I have 2 degrees.
I'm uneducated, and English is my second language. I'm sorry, Eric,
I mean, oh well,
but
English is also my second language. I am Salvadori.
either way, there people are already talking, and I hate this personally. I don't want this, and I don't think we need it at the moment. But Patrick Kane, the old
That's the big fish. You know what I mean? Like he's been connected also to Edmonton.
where going in, so many people were like, when I remember last year at the end of in during the summer, there was slight Patrick Kane Vegas rumors, like Vegas had called about it.
Yeah, because again, you have to.
You have to, right? Yeah,
There's that joke
like
that like at GM meetings, like people will go up to the Edmonton GM, whoever it is at the time, currently Ken Holland, and they go like, "What do you want for
honor.
McDavid? What do you want for McDavid?" Like
It doesn't hurt to ask.
you have
So
to.
I
You just
believe that rumor. I do believe Vegas has called Chicago about it. I do
yeah.
believe that. Whether they should do it, I don't think so. But because you'd have to sell the farm, the very little tiny farm you have, you'd have to sell it again,
Yeah.
and you'd have to have Chicago keep 50.
You
Somehow get
probably have another team. Yeah.
another team that gets another piece of it before it hits Vegas. That's the only way you fit it in. And I am of the idea I can't even talk today.
Too excited.
Ideology?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what it is. I'm of the ideology of if it's working, don't fuck with it. Year one, it was working. They added Tatar, and Tatar didn't break it because he didn't even fucking. He played one game in the playoffs, but like, if it's working, why break it? You know what
Well,
I mean? Like,
but
I
then
get,
you have the opposite of that, where if you want to use my team as an example, you fucking throw in Jeff Carter. That's the missing piece you need
yeah,
to get over. You
and you
fucking
win. I
go make a
know.
trade for Marion Gaborik. That's the missing piece you need to go over. And you can kind of see that over and over
I'm
again.
curious, or if anyone's done the research. Like, I'm curious what like
We've done this.
teams that
We had a whole episode about it last year.
did we?
Yes.
I got to go back and listen to it.
I
Then.
mean, you could go look at the notes for last year, but we went through the
They-
5. We went through the previous 5, and now
and
I mean
who
we
they
could
picked up? You're right.
we can add Colorado to this, but Colorado added Arturi Lekkinen, like, and that was a big thing for them. It doesn't always have to be like a superstar, and that's the thing that we came to the consensus to last year. But you do have to add something that you're missing, and that varies so much by team. And you can make a
'Cause I'm
mistake.
like,
You can make a mistake by
obviously
adding.
we're so far away with it, and if Vegas were able to pick up Patrick Kane, then fucking
I mean,
that'd be
that's been their mantra forever. But also Edmonton sniffing around. Like, you'd have to think Calgary has a little bit of space. They can also go do it. Like, that's
yeah.
the situation with like
The
Seattle.
problem is, like I said, you're selling the farm for a single shot.
Yeah, but if you win,
A
who cares?
single shot.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
if you
you're
win, who
right. If
cares?
you win it, my team can be asked for the next 10 years. I don't care. I'm like, where's your cup? You know what I mean?
I'm still living off the last 2 years. The last 10 years, I mean.
But so I mean, we'll see. That's still we don't need to be talking about that really until December.
No, but
Early
I think like the thing we can transition to is like impatience also, because that's what I've seen something else with the LA fan base when you're looking at how many right-handed defensemen we have, and we're having other defensemen play on the other side that they're not normally at, and causing issues like that. Because it does, for some defensemen, it does take a lot of time and change because you're just handling the puck on a different side depending on where you're on at the ice at all times. And that's kind of been a thing. Like, even LA has been, because again, expectations, Miguel. If Vegas started the same way LA did, it'd be fucking the whole town
doom and
is
gloom.
yeah, it'd be on fire. It'd be what Toronto's doing right now, where they're like
And I was
average.
going to transition into that. So doom and gloom, and already looking at alternate options. Toronto, do you think they should start looking?
No.
I agree. I don't
No.
think so. I think that you stay put. You know what I mean?
So I've been I'm consuming a lot of Toronto media because they played Los Angeles this past week, and we kind of contributed to the bad vibes in the 6.
As we did, as Vegas did too.
We did. Hold on. Also, can we talk about how people have been shitting on the Pacific, and yet we keep beating the stupid Atlantic Division
dude.
teams? Even the Sharks got to win. Even the Ducks got to win. Come on. I
know Toronto came out here to the Pacific and was giving it up for free. Honestly,
yeah, basically, there was zero fight in that team when they came over. And I think a lot of the issues in Toronto and with the media is because I think they look at that roster, and for the past 4 seasons, this is a cup contending team, when in reality, this is a first round team, maybe second round. Hey,
I just don't know. I don't know how people say the Pacific's so bad when the second best team in the league is a team from the Pacific.
I don't know. Like, even LA's not bad, and they're the 4th best team in this division.
And there's currently a 3-way tie for worst team, all from 3 different divisions. So like,
just I don't know. It's
shut your mouth.
Yeah, we're tired of this Pacific slander. Like, this division's tough. Like, honestly, again, Miguel, if you do LA, Vegas, Edmonton, Calgary, any order, you'd be like, yeah, you could.
Remember when the Pacific won back-to-back All-Star games?
True, we did. I'm pretty sure the Pacific Division has the most division wins
Probably.
since
They didn't win this last year.
They were drunk as Pete DeBoer.
Oh, yeah, Pete DeBoer, yeah. I forgot about
They
that.
were
You're
fucking
right.
hammered.
They did say they went and celebrate the night before and fucking got hammered.
Boris
And
fucking
it
tried to
showed
drop
because
a
I remember
play.
I was there live, and I remember telling my brother, "These guys look like they're fucking drunk. Like
They
they
look
look
like me, and
hungover."
I'm drunk. But like that's kind of the thing. Like again, you take Edmonton, LA, Calgary, and Vegas, put them in any order, and you're like, you can write a story on how the season went. And you'd be like, no, I believe that. If you could be like, hey, LA traded for Jacob Chikrin, and from that point on, they figured it out and won the division.
I mean,
Edmonton traded for Patrick Kane, and they figured it out, and they went all the way through.
so
Jacob
as an
Mark,
LA
like,
fan, are you looking at that like pieces? You think? I mean, I know you keep on talking about defensemen, too many right-handed
yeah,
defensemen.
that's their biggest issue. They're also young, so I mean that kind of hurt. I just don't know what trade you make that isn't in a panic. And again, if we want to talk about Toronto right there, any decision they make within the next week, it's a panic move. You're not taking your time to figure out exactly what you need. You're just wanting a hot fix, and that might bite you in the ass. The thing for LA is, yeah, they have too many fucking people. And you probably should make a trade for a left-handed defenseman. And of course, you go for the best one, Jacob Chikrin. But we don't know what Jacob Chikrin looks like this year because he hasn't played.
He's injured, right?
He's
At the
injured.
moment.
Mhm.
What's his injury? Do you know?
I believe it's lower body. Like, I'm
I,
pretty
for,
sure it's lower body.
I forget. This is the NHL.
Yeah.
We don't freaking.
It's
They don't
probably
tell us anything.
it's probably a knee, but regardless, he hasn't played this year. You know what I mean?
It's a wrist injury.
Okay, so it's upper. I'm completely wrong. You know what they call Miguel? The wrist, the knee of the arm. That's what they call the
That's
wrist.
true. That's true.
Even though we have the elbow there, which I guess would be more of the knee. But anyway, so you can't even
Real
trade for
quick,
him if you
I don't
want to.
mean to interrupt.
We got breaking news.
Well, I mean,
Is this
breaking
about?
happy news.
I swear to God, if this
It
is
is.
a Vegas scored and that's what you're interrupting me for,
So if Vegas scored, I wouldn't say nothing. But Vegas scored a shorthanded goal, which is
that's
always
come on.
that's always worth excitement, Eric. Shorthanded goals, I love them.
No, do you want to know a fun fact?
What?
Who leads the league in shorthanded goals given up?
Giving up?
Yeah,
Isn't it Anaheim?
no, it's LA.
Oh, is it LA? No
Yes.
way. How many?
Three in
Oh,
like
because I was like
3 in 10 games is a fucking lot.
Anaheim gave up back-to-back shorthanded
Yeah,
goals
they did.
in game.
That was funny too. But no,
That's why I thought it was Anaheim.
we gave up
Yeah.
3 in fucking 10 games. Like again,
And I'm
it's
assuming with this one, Vegas probably leads in
scoring
shorthanded
shorthanded
goals
goals. Yeah. Ottawa's funny. You're playing Ottawa. Ottawa actually scored a nice 5-on-3 shorthanded goal. I guess 3-on-5 shorthanded goal against Tampa.
Really?
Yeah,
I
Matthew
didn't even see that
Joseph
one.
revenge game.
I'm gonna have to look that up. But yeah.
It's
So I mean,
you again.
in
It's again.
LA's situation, I don't think adding Chikrin now would be the worst thing. Where I know that you're doing fine, you're not doing great, you're not doing bad, but that's something where you need it. It's not something where like, oh, we get to the January and like, okay, we definitely need. Right now you need the left-handed defenseman.
Yeah. And
Why
and
not
again,
go get it now when you can probably get it for cheaper than you would at the deadline?
yeah,
know
and
what
you
I mean?
get more time for chemistry and all that stuff. Like,
And that too.
to be honest, LA is probably where you predicted them to be. They're fourth in the division. You just didn't predict Seattle to be the team ahead of them and not Calgary. But also Calgary's played 3 less games than everyone in the division for some reason.
Yeah,
Like
that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and like again, I think
That's one thing I don't like about the schedule. I feel
know.
like shit should be scheduled more evenly. Like
Like
I hate.
I
I remember
understand
last
why
year.
I understand why San Jose has played a lot. Or yeah, has played a lot because they were the
Yeah,
game in Europe.
the overseas games. Yeah,
But why is Calgary only at fucking 8? St. Louis is only at 8. Colorado, Arizona 9. Like,
I remember last year when Vegas was fighting for their lives. They had like 3-4 more games played than everyone else. So like it was hard to ever get excited because like, well, we caught up to LA, but guess fucking what? LA has 3 more games to play, and
then
they're
we'd
gonna win one.
and then we win their games. Yeah.
And they did. I think they probably won all 3 at that time. And so like I just hate it because like to me, it takes away what's annoying. Two, it takes away a little bit from the drama. Like NHL, you got to do better. You know what I mean?
Just a little bit, but don't forget, this was the same league that had regular season games going on during the playoffs 2 years ago.
They're playing playoffs
I
exactly.
understand it was COVID and there's a bunch of weird shit, but that was kind of funny.
That was very funny. Like I can't imagine suiting up for the most meaningless game
In an empty building.
in an empty building where win or lose, you're not making the playoffs.
No, didn't matter.
Because they're already going on up in
Right now.
Canada. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. But like, I don't know, like, dude, how is Martin Jones Seattle's best goalie out of Philip Grubauer? That is
I
rough.
mean,
But they finally have decent goaltending.
Martin Jones was good for like 2 seasons, 3 seasons when he got to San Jose.
But then the same thing happened do you remember Cam Talbot when you played in Edmonton? You play him like 70 games and you burn him out. That's kind of what happened with
Yeah,
Martin
pretty
Jones.
much.
He was the guy
I
and
mean,
they
look at
overused him.
what's his name? Soupy in Toronto last year, 2 years ago, whenever that was.
Yeah.
He was heaven sent. They loved him. They burned him to the ground. They rode him into the ground.
And remember, he was
And then
when
they
he got
casted him
traded there,
away.
he was a backup with Los Angeles. So it's not like he was playing a ton of games anyway. He was playing 30, 35, maybe 40.
So, what do you when it comes just random thought
Sure.
because we're talking about goalies.
Hey, we're friends. This is what we do.
At what point do you're like, okay, this guy's a backup, and he'll never be more than a backup?
That's a good question.
Because Campbell, I feel like is teetering in that area where he's had flashes of greatness, but he never sustains it. So if you cannot sustain it, means maybe you're just a backup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to consistency.
He was good in LA, but never consistent enough to beat out quick. He was good in Toronto,
I mean, but
never good enough.
half the league has basically played behind Jonathan Quick at some point. At the
I
Jonathan
mean,
Bernier, who was a starter for
that
a long
is
time, was
true.
behind Quick. Darcy Kemper, who won a cup, was a backup behind Quick. Martin
I
Jones
was
is a back. Like,
I mean, I was technically behind Quick one time. I
there
was
you go.
walking through the arena. He was in the net.
Wave at him.
I waved at him. Yeah, I said, "Fuck you, Jonathan
No,
Quick."
it's just I think it really just depends on the team you're on. Like again, the most popular usually player on the team is the backup goalie because you don't get to see them that much and they just hang out. I think it just for you personally on your team, I think you just know. I think it's the confidence that you have with what situation that
I
they're
agree
in.
with you. I think you for your own team's goalie. You know, I remember Malcolm Subban. Like when Fleury got injured. Before he got injured, Malcolm always played great in the backup role.
Yeah.
And he was always good, and people, and I personally, even I wanted more. Like, oh man, Malcolm might be our goalie of the future. And then Fleury went down. Eventually, Malcolm went down too, but he had a good few games where he was the main goalie, and he did not do it. You know what I mean? Like even when he won, I never felt confident. We're all like, ooh, this Malcolm guy is definitely not the future. You know what I mean?
No, and then like even I mean I'll throw it back to way back when 15-16. LA had Jonathan Quick go down for 50 games and their backup was Peter Budaj. And they somehow won a bunch of games behind Peter Budaj, but there was no time where you're like, all right, Peter Budaj is, helping backstop this team, but the team had to change the way they were playing to play more defensive to help him, you know? I think it's really just can you have your starter be back there and not have to consider him a liability is one. And creating that kind of confidence that you usually have with that comes with good goaltending. Like I think Logan Thompson for you guys, like I would say the only good thing about missing the playoffs is that you realize that this dude's gonna fight, and that's
And
good.
that's exactly where I was gonna bring up our last year, the opposite when Logan had to take the net and he played a few games. I'm like, this guy
Yeah,
is the future of Golden Knights.
and the problem with
I
that,
didn't think it was gonna be this quick, and he still has this year to prove himself. But you just get that feeling. You watch him; he makes the right plays, even in losses. he came out looking good, and the team came out looking like shit.
Well,
Where
and that's
Malcolm
kind of
Subban was the opposite, where he came out looking like shit, even though we won, and the team looked good. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I'm gonna flip this on the other side to go along with that. Like Cal Peterson for the LA Kings, they gave him basically a contract that showed them
He's
that
taking
like
over,
you're
right?
gonna take over at some point. You're gonna make $5 million. Quick is basically making that. There's 1 year of overlap, but then after that, it should be your net.
Is
And
this Quick's last year
yeah, under contract.
on this contract? On this
Mm-hmm.
contract?
10-year contract over.
I mean, clearly he's coming back, right? But for
I would
a
hope
lot
so.
less,
I would hope so.
for a lot less.
Like, like $2 million. You know what I mean? Give us a little discount there.
Yeah,
But
I think you should. He won the cups. He got
yeah,
paid out.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's concerning now because Cal Peterson over the last 2 years, like he didn't take over the
Has
net.
shown,
Like the year
yeah.
he was supposed to take over, for some reason or another, confidence hasn't been there, and that might be a thing where I do genuinely feel bad for Cal because in half the game so far that he's played, the defense hasn't really helped him out. There's been bad goals allowed, and that happens to every fucking goalie. I mean, Vasilevsky had an embarrassing giveaway recently last week. Like, even the best of the best give up shit goals. But
And to me, this is the difference between a good and a great goalie. Good goalies, when the defense in front of them, they'll look phenomenal. But when the defense ain't there, they can't win you a game.
yeah,
Jonathan Quick will steal you a
he
fucking
can steal one. Yeah,
game.
he has the ability to
And
steal. And Cal Peterson had that too. He beat who the wall. You know, he had at
and
least
I
one or
think that's
two
important. I think
40
that's
plus
very
save games,
important. You know what I
but the
mean?
confidence is gone, and that's a huge thing for goalies. And that was my biggest concern with Jack Campbell in Edmonton. You could see the confidence thing be an issue for Grubauer in Seattle. If you want to move over to the East, Carter Hart looks way more confident than that over than the last 2 years. And it's weird to think that Carter Hart's been in the league for like 4 years and he's only 24 right now, which is super young for any goalie to be in the NHL as a starter.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think at the end of the day, like confidence is such a big thing. And I think that's how you as a fan know if you have your guy that you want to be like, this is the guy who's gonna hold it down and the team's gonna rally behind
Also, you know what I'm
and protect
curious
the net for.
about? For years, again, I was a very casual fan for years of hockey for the Kings. Became diehard, and when the Golden Knights came along, and the one thing you always hear, it takes goalies long time to develop,
Yeah.
which is true, has been the case. But I feel like now we're getting a lot of young goalies who are developing and showing that they could be starters a lot sooner. And I wonder if that's a case of like just because training and everything has just evolved so much over time, or is it because now young people are getting the shot because they're forced to, because teams are forced to give the young goalie shots and they're approved. Like Logan Thompson proving it. Swayman, although I think he just got hurt,
He did.
was showing it. Spencer Knight, so. You know what I mean? Like,
It's just I think you're right, but also I think a lot of times in sports it comes in waves. Like it just depends on the draft class and the kind of situation you're in terms of like I
yeah.
guess the sports cycle. Like I felt like a couple like 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you're hearing about these elite centers, your Austin Matthews, your Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, stuff like that. Like you just have a crop of stuff, and then you talk about like the other gems that kind of pop in there and kind of do stuff. A couple years after that, you get McCarr, Hughes, Snyder, like defensemen who are again defensemen used to be the same thing. Take a while to develop, but you had guys
Yeah.
who come in their rookie year and
I know.
immediately make an impact. You're Rasmus
Kill
Dahlin
McCarr.
though, but also you have the thing.
Yeah.
Rasmus Dahlin, a lot of pedigree,
Fir-
took him until this
First,
year.
first ever defenseman, you know?
That graphic is
First
so
ever
funny.
D man.
That graphic is so
No
funny.
one, no one will get that joke. But
For those who don't know, Buffalo put out like a I think it was a graphic celebrating that he was like the first defenseman to score 4 goals in their first 4 games. But the
yeah,
graphic just said first ever defenseman. Just amazing.
and it's just the funniest thing. It's just a funny. But yeah, Kill McCarr. I mean, Darlene took a little while, but not that long to develop. Kel McCarr, same thing. Like that kid's considered the one of the best.
Yeah,
He
Quinn
was he,
Hughes,
his name was up there with McDavid last year,
yeah,
legitimately, and rightfully so. You know what I mean?
yeah, and then you
Although
have
this year he's I mean, cup hangover. I called it.
yeah,
Like
yeah, but I told you, really, the regular season
it
means
doesn't matter.
different
Just
things
make
for
the
other
playoffs.
people.
Yeah,
Like, it's just
yeah.
they'll find their footing. Right now, they're fun fact. Did you know there was games in Europe happening?
No,
There are
are they
between
playing in Europe?
Colorado and Columbus are currently in Europe.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah, way to fucking promote this thing, NHL. Just learned about it right before we went on, by the way.
Why? Why exactly? Why is this not a bigger deal?
It should because, dude, those European crowds are fucking awesome.
Yeah, they are. They're
Uh,
chanting.
oh,
Yeah,
everything.
soccer crowds
So
are just better.
they are, they are. They're the undefeated best crowd
Hmm.
because of like atmosphere and stuff like that. But yeah,
I think,
they're
but
in fucking Europe. Them in Columbus.
I think one of the biggest things with young goalies, as far as them being able to take and win the net, and this is where the age, the experience is better, specifically for goalies. Is one thing the trend I've noticed with these goalies, these young goalies that are really fucking good, really fast, like Shesterkin, like Swayman,
Mhm.
like Thompson, confidence.
Yeah,
It is confidence because they look like they carry themselves like, "Oh, I'm the fucking best," and I think that helps them. But the second that confidence gets shot,
that's where the hard stuff is.
boy,
And
they get in their head, and boy, do they start making mistake after mistake. Where a veteran goalie like Fleury will have a
oh,
horrible game,
he'll be
but he can bounce
ass.
back and
Yeah,
he can bounce back and get a shutout the next game.
yeah, he'll be ass and then be lights out the very next game. Like it's
Where I
like
think that's where the younger goalies struggle. I think they get in
yeah.
their own heads. I think,
Yeah, and then
but
again,
when they're confident, ooh,
situation, and then yeah, situation matters. It matters so damn much, and that's why I was worried about Jack Campbell in Edmonton because I'm like, I'm not sure if I like that fit situationally
yeah,
for both of them. Because I understand you're a goalie, you need a job. Edmonton is a team that needs a goalie. Mash them together, and I don't know. Like, I honestly, preferably, I probably would have said Darcy Kemper should probably go to Edmonton and have Jack Campbell go to Washington because Washington is a slow, like structured team, and Edmonton is nothing but chaos. And especially after the season that Darcy Kemper had with Colorado, I feel like you're used to playing. And I understand Colorado's fucking defense core is otherworldly, like they're hands down easily the best. But you're used to the speed and chaos, and you know what's more speed and chaotic than fucking McDavid and Draisaitl. You know what I mean?
yeah. And another good example of a young goalie, which I don't know what the hell they're thinking, but Vitek Vanacek. Don't know why Washington got rid of him, but he's part of the reason Devils have been so good this season.
I mean, him and Samsonov, they basically scrapped their goaltending tandem and said, "Fuck it, get him out of here. We need something new." Which I applaud. Like Samsonov, he was an RFA. He's not that old. He's 26,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, and he's been
and
pretty good, pretty
Vitek
good,
is also 26.
pretty good. For Samsonov. Also, if you don't listen for Samsonov clips, he's one of the few great interviews that there are for in terms of player interviews in the league because while Toronto was struggling, he's like, "Yeah, we're just not having fun. We're not smiling anymore. Smile's gone." I'm like, Jesus,
That was a great quote. Yeah, that was
this is sad, but
and this is why we need more young players in the NHL. They're just the old guys don't want to say nothing, and they say the same thing over.
did you? Speaking of Toronto, did you hear the? So Toronto went back home, played Philadelphia yesterday. They won. Luckily for
And they
them, I
asked,
guess. And they asked Mitch Marner before the game, "Do you feel like you're playing for your head coach's job?" Like
I didn't hear this. What
Jesus.
did he say?
He gave a very like fine answer. He's like, "No, we just need to play. We're playing for all our jobs. We need to play better." Like the perfect non-answer for a question like that. Because I'm sure that in his head he went, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And
I thought you were gonna mention the Tortorella one.
oh, that one's also good too. If you
I
want to
mean,
talk about
Tortorella's
that one.
always good for a quote. They asked him about Toronto. What's his name? Keefe. What's
Yeah,
his name?
Sheldon Keefe, your head coach for
Sheldon
your
Keefe.
Toronto
Like
Maple Leafs.
how he feels about his him possibly like doing a bad job, him possibly losing his job. And then he goes on a little bit of a tangent on like this is on you, the media. You guys always
The
blow
media.
things up. Yeah, and then ends it with he's doing well. They're gonna get back to winning. I just hope not tonight.
Well, he jinxed it. He
Yeah, he
jinxed it.
jinxed
He
it. Yeah,
figured
he
it out.
100% jinxed it.
John Tavares hat trick. Shout out to my fantasy team. Thank you, Johnny. But I don't know. I know we literally just had this discussion last week, but it's Thanksgiving, right? When by the time we should press panic and actually have a decent picture of what's
I
going
mean,
on in the
that's
league.
been
That's the old saying
uh,
of like,
the bar
yeah.
Thanksgiving. And usually by Thanksgiving, 1 to 2 teams at most fall out, and 1 to 2 get in. Obviously,
Uh,
last year Vegas was one of the unfortunate teams to fall out.
Honestly, with the way this fucking season's going, it'll be you and I in the fucking first round of the playoffs, and I don't know if I can handle that.
Maybe
I'd rather play you
I
guys in fucking Colorado if that's my choice as a wild card team.
really I'm the opposite. I
Nah.
don't know. It's weird. Vegas has ran the gauntlet, if you would say,
Hmm. I think
where 2 years ago in the second round they go against Colorado, which they were the favorite from the West to go all the way and win it. There, everyone was like, "This is their year." As long as they could beat Toronto, Tampa was
yeah.
what everyone was talking. The two Goliaths meet in the second round, and Vegas just dissects them. Like, you know what I mean? Takes care of business.
And then you got beaten
So
by
then,
David in the third round.
so then everybody was like, "Vegas is going all the way. Vegas is gonna win it all." Vegas just made Colorado look like fucking idiots that last round. Like made them look like they didn't belong. And like you said, we got beat by David.
But I do think that
David
like
that David that one didn't even belong here. He shouldn't have. What was he even doing here? You know what I
French
mean?
David.
Stupid COVID.
But like that's the whole thing. If we want to wrap it up with this like last conversation in terms of like winners and stuff like that, like for all of them, all the people that have recently gone on and won, people were wrong about this team and declaring them like cup favorites and champions all the time.
Yeah.
Colorado took them like 3 to 4 years of people being like, "This is the year for Colorado." Couldn't get past the second round until they did.
Tampa. I mean, it took Tampa 2 years, but
No, well,
no.
Tampa took them a lot longer because they
Well,
did lose
I'm
the.
saying, but when people were saying this is the team,
Well, because don't
it was like,
forget, 2015, they made the final with that core of
yeah,
Stamkos, Kucherov, and was it Vasilevsky at that time or was it Ben Bishop?
I don't think I was. Could have been Bishop in 15.
Anywho, you have pieces of that core. They make the final, and you're like, oh, they'll get back to it. And it took them what 5 more years to finally get back and break the hump after being contenders in that in between. St. Louis came out of nowhere. Washington, forever and ever and ever, we're saying the year for Washington. They've made a big trade at the deadline, and then they meet Pittsburgh, and it's over.
Yeah, in
Like,
2015, Vasilevsky only played 24 games,
well, there you go. And
so
Bishop.
I don't think maybe he played the playoffs. I
No,
don't know.
that's probably Bishop. But for a lot of these teams, it takes them forever to try and get over the hump. And for Crosby, it took him a while too. If you want to compare him to McDavid, so like McDavid eventually should win a cup. The only question is it going to be with Edmonton? And it'll probably be because I do feel like he's loyal to them. As much as we joke of like, eventually they'll want out. Eventually, Austin
This is
Matthews will
something
want
we
out.
can talk about next week. I definitely want to get more into this loyalty thing, and we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, I agree with you. I believe for the most part, I think Connor will at least at minimum play 95% of his career in Edmonton.
Yeah,
It's always hard to say 100 because sometimes like the last
you always get
few
those
years.
weird 1 or 2 years of this
Yeah,
person played for this team, and you're like, what?
exactly. So I can confidently say McDavid would be there for 95 easily of his percent
Or
of his
he does
career.
what Gretzky did. He gets traded to LA. Just throwing that out there. It'd be funny. It'd be funny for me. Only me.
I mean, McDavid or Matthews, you can only have one.
I'm taking Austin Matthews. He's Mexican.
Good man. Good
He's
man.
Mexican. I want.
Good man.
Again, I don't think like if you're from the north in Canada and other parts of the country, I don't think you understand how much Los Angeles loves their Latino players in any sport.
Yeah. Plus, style wise of how Connor plays and Matthews plays, Connor's gonna slow down eventually. While he still will be good and he still will be better than most,
I don't
gonna
know,
slow
man.
down
Yeah,
eventually.
but we
You know
said
what I
that
mean?
thing about like fucking Crosby, and look at the season he's fucking having. Like your body might slow down, but those hands and that brain,
Oh, of course.
woo
I
boy.
mean, McDavid will have to adjust his game the older he gets for sure. Where I think Matthews, the way he plays, he can play that style from now until the end. You know what I mean?
So
Where
fucking
Connor will have to switch up, like you said, Connor Crosby will have to switch up his game.
God, he's so good. Crosby, 12 points in 11 games. Still doing it. Still doing it.
Crazy. Any last
Anything?
words for this week?
Uh no, it's the same thing. I feel like we're still trying to figure out this season. I still find it like I'm still getting accustomed to like not being in COVID. Because I feel like this is the first real season I haven't really thought about it. We don't have to think about
Yeah,
players going out and all that stuff. And we
that's
had that
true.
big thing last season with like,
Teams going down.
was the
Yeah.
Olympics going to happen? And
Vancouver,
it
right?
didn't. Yeah, basically.
Did Vancouver go down?
Yeah, a
Like
lot
the
of teams.
entire team of
Dallas,
Vancouver went down?
Dallas lost a lot of time and had a scramble to play at the end of it. So I feel like personally, I'm still getting used to everything and accustomed to it. And I do
Because I know for
feel,
Vegas last year, COVID hit, stagnated, where it was like
oh, it's just
a little
random.
bit
Like
like a little few players at a time.
randomly, Drew
Where there was
Doughty
a
got left in Florida. Like that's all you heard. It was like, oh, it's COVID. He's stuck in Florida for the next 2 weeks.
yeah, where there's a few teams like Vancouver where I think they just had a big old orgy and everyone got it at once.
Yeah, and then so it's taking some time to get used to, and I think your surprise is still there. By the way, fourth in the league in points, Jesper Bratt. He
Brat, brat.
might be the low key most underrated player in the
Okay.
NHL for me. So that's all I got to say.
Okay. Well, people, you can find me at Miguel Kicks all over the internet. Collectors Lobby on YouTube. Make sure you go follow, subscribe, like, comment. Eric, where can the people find you?
Find me Twitter, Instagram at _ Erick Oriana. That's _ ErickOrellAna. Miguel, send us home.
For those listening still, thank you so much. And we really appreciate your support every single episode. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.
How the fuck is McDavid shooting 28%?